Hello, so we're going to start off today with the introduction to the Path of Qoph, continuing along our journey. And today we're going to look at the stone of Moonstone. And I'd like to start off by sharing the introductory paragraph for the Moonstone from a website that sells Moonstone jewelry, because I could not say it any better than they do. The sacred meaning behind Moonstone. It is seen as a veiled spectacle of light or cirrus clouds passing before the moon. Moonstone mesmerizes gem aficionados of different cultures with its otherworldly facade. The pearly iridescence it showcases is a thing of beauty, and it should host a deeper meaning. And true enough, its mysterious name and playful glimmer stand between a towering significance. It is highly valued by monks, shamans, spiritualists, and devotees from various religions. So we haven't covered this, so I'd like to cover it. Now, when you work with a stone or a crystal magically, there's a few basics of feeling and receiving energy from them. So you might start by taking your object and holding it in your hand. I think I'm going to do this with my Moonstone, actually. So you hold it in your hand, you're in your left hand, because that's the receptive hand. So you're developing a skill of communicating with the stones, since they can store the information as well as potential energy. And then the stones can then share the information that they hold with your energy information system. And here's my Moonstone. Doesn't look all that spectacular at the moment. We need more light. It's actually quite spectacular Moonstone, but we'll hit it later. So you've got it in your left hand. Okay, so you might want to meditate for a little bit and see if you get any visions or if you notice any sort of energetic shifts in your body. And you just start by receiving information passively to see what you get. And then after you have done that, after the crystal has explained to you what it does, then you're ready to start using that energy and telling the crystal what you want it to do along those lines, and you direct that energy. And Moonstone is one of the crystals that you actually really want to direct the energy with. You don't want to just let it do its thing. You can, but you have a much higher degree of potential opportunities when you direct it. So you're setting up this, crystals are really great because they teach you how to be telepathic, and they teach you how to feel energetic resonance in a way that very few other things will do. You already have the telepathy, of course. It's already part of your human energy system. You're just unlocking it. You're using, in this case, the crystals as a tool to help you to access that deeper wisdom within yourself. So as I was researching it, I found that it kind of went all over the place in terms of the explanation of what it does. So it's a kind of diffused, maybe generalized energy that can be as difficult to pin down as a dream. But you want to be really clear. You want to be really clear with the diffused energy because it'll kind of go off on its own. It's pretty benign, so it isn't going to do a whole lot of harm, and it's very gentle. But it can get you pregnant. It is a fertility stone, so you might want to use that. But that being said, I've been wearing gemstones my entire adult life, and I haven't ever programmed them to do anything. And I haven't noticed any negative effects. It's one of my main go-to stones in my wardrobe. And so these are the inexpensive varieties that you sometimes find in pots at the crystal shops that are not very expensive at all. Beautiful, tumbled So just a quick look at the anatomy of the planet to see if it gives us any insights into the energetics of Moonstone. So the distance from the crust to the inner core is 4,000 miles. 4,000 miles. I had to find that out. I was very, very interested in this. I've been thinking about this a lot because it's 4,000 miles. We're here in Tallahassee, Florida, making this recording. And 4,000 miles to the west, if we traveled that way by plane directly, we could be sitting on the shores of Hawaii right now, having a lovely fish sandwich, watching the sunrise. If we went 4,000 miles south, we would be in another one of my favorite places, Iguazu Falls in Brazil. If we went 4,000 miles northwest, we could go to Alaska and see the glaciers. In Europe and cities like London, London is 4,300 miles away from Atlanta. And Ghana, for our friends in Ghana, they are 5,500 miles away from Tallahassee, Florida. So that really kind of puts things in perspective. 4,000 miles beneath the earth, we have the inner core. So if we travel straight down to the center of the planet, which hopefully everyone is doing 3 times a day, then we're going to hit a solid chunk. It's actually solid in the center of the earth. It's a solid chunk of inner core, and it's composed of iron and nickel. And then if you come up a little bit higher on top of that, you get the outer core, which is the liquid layer. That's where the liquid layer is. It's 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And then above that, you have the mantle. So the lower mantle is mostly molten rock and magma, and the upper mantle is more rock than magma, probably more all rock. And then the crust is the very top. And the crust is broken up into the pieces that we know of as tectonic plates, of which there are 7 major and 10 minor, and 2 types for the sea, the oceanic plates and the land plates. Its thickness ranges from 3 miles thick to 43 miles thick at its thickest place on the planet, and I don't know where that is. So, Moonstone is found in the crust. It's come through and emerged into the crust. That's the only place that you'll find it. A lot of you other gemstones you'll find in the mantle, but not Moonstone. It is a variety of orthoclase, which is a feldspar mineral, which is about 60% of the Earth's crust. It's found as a major rock, forming in granite. And if you look at it, it looks like granite. That's a really nice specimen, a really nice one, because you don't have any of the darker colors, you don't have any of the flecks. It's an igneous rock. It's an igneous rock that's formed by the matter coming out of the magma and the rock to the crust that's cooling. So this is an activity of the planet's body. This is actually a physiological cleansing activity of some kind, where it is producing this mineral in this small but dense concentrated area as nature is reorganizing and pushing energy from one part of her body to a more topical one, and simultaneously providing us with something that, whenever you see something that's in abundance, it's probably something that the earth thinks that we need an easy access to. So we could consider that it's not a mineral that's held deeply within the earth that we need to work to find. It's in the top layers. All right, so now we get here. So it's also composed of another feldspar species that's called albite. And so you have albite and you have orthoclase, and these are a mix of aluminum, calcium, and potassium, and silicate that are just kind of in different different chemical combinations. And so as the moonstone is pushed towards the surface, the albite and the orthoclase cool at different temperatures. And so they form a stacking growth pattern with a strong cleavage line that is separated into alternating layers. And when the light falls into the stone, it scatters and produces this phenomena that is called, and I'm not going to pronounce this right, but it's Adularescence is the word that's used frequently. And that's the sheen that you see, that it's famous for. And it seems that the light goes in and bounces around in the layers and then comes out, or it might just go in and bounce out. I couldn't really tell. But it has a different character coming out than it does going in. It definitely looks like a very different thing. We've got a cat eye, we've got a rainbow, and all of these beautiful cabochons. They cut the moonstone this way, typically, like this, or in even maybe a smooth, curvy manner, typically, because that seems to be the best shape to show off the coloration, rather than faceting it. It has a hardness of 6, so don't let it hit your teeth or the ground. It'll break right along that cleavage line. Don't drop it. Moonstone can be found in Sri Lanka, the United States, Russia, Sweden, and Canada. So, some mythologies that are associated with moonstone. The Romans thought that it was made of frozen moonlight, which is not that hard to understand, or that other cultures thought it trapped moonlight, because it certainly looks like it. It was used in connection with lunar deities, for example, Luna and Diana, and it was said that Diana's image was held within the stone. We see moonstone in Hinduism, and one of the main deities, Ganesh, has a jewel in the center of the crown, and that is a moonstone. If moonstone is so sacred in India that if they display it in a store, you'll see it on a yellow piece of cloth. Like if you need to lay it down or you need to store it, it's supposed to go in a yellow piece of cloth. Because yellow is sacred. Yellow is the sacred color of saffron yellow. It brings good fortune and has special significance for lovers because it arouses tender passion. And it also gives you the knowledge of the future. If you want to use moonstone for divination, you put it in your mouth when the moon is full. So we should all try that out and see how it goes. It was considered in many cultures to be a talismanic gem of winter. And in Oriental culture, it was known as a phenomenal gel. And that's a class of gem that exhibits this moving line or a star, here's a star, or changes on the surface of the light. And it's very, very good fortune. And you wear the moonstone on Mondays. Moonstone may lose its silvery luster if the wearers have a lot of unresolved anger. Mine's still pretty good though. Interestingly, the moonstone is the Florida state gemstone, even though it doesn't occur in Florida at all. It was designated as such in 1970 to commemorate the Florida moon landings, which took off from Kennedy Space Center. All right. All right. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So gorgeous. So after doing these studies, kind of gathering up other people's ideas of how they've been using them. They're their ideas. They aren't necessarily my ideas, although I do have a couple of ideas, and I'd like to share them with you. I think that if you want to use a moonstone, then it leans towards various activities. And if you just wore it in a passive kind of way, then they would affect you on subtle levels and enhancing your insight and your intuition and your femininity. And it just feels very beautiful to wear. It's a very stunning, I feel very beautiful when I wear it. But if you apply some intention to it, as we have been learning how to do, then we could probably get this thing to do a number of important things that we need done for us. So I did wear a moonstone throughout my entire pregnancy. It was very popular among my friends at the time. We were all getting pregnant. We all went and got moonstones, and I wore that moonstone every day. And the reason that I did that was to attune myself to my child and to help my child to develop more psychic abilities. So the moonstone is clearly linked to the moon and anything that's associated with it. This would include the nighttime and our subconscious and our unconscious selves. It's strongly linked to feminine energy and every aspect of being a woman. Our menstrual cycles are a visible manifestation of being a woman, but not all women have menstrual cycles. But all women have biorhythms. And all women have fluxes and ups and downs. And even men have biorhythms and fluxes up and down. We all have a rhythm. And so if there's any kind of rhythm that's going on in your life, that could be a metabolic rhythm, it could be a mood or emotional rhythm, it could be an energetic rhythm. I know my energy tends to really go up and down. Then moonstone would be excellent. If you notice that something is going back and forth and back and forth, and you want it to stop going back and start going forth, or you want it to go back and not go forth, then I would call upon the moonstone. I would befriend the moonstone and see if it can help you with that sort of stuck cycle. It regulates the flow of water in your body. So these would be lymphs, bloods, water, any kind, the way that your body retains water, the way that your body utilizes water, the way that your body is excreting water, and along with it, all of the dissolved solids. So, we talked about doing a detoxification. It would be really good to put a little intention into the moonstone, help my body to get rid of what is no longer needed. Externally working with water, you could do rain magic. So if a hurricane is coming our way, you may get a call from your magister, and we'll all pull out our moonstones and ask the hurricane to go a different direction or something like that. You can do anything like that. You're only limited by, of course, your creativity. So anywhere where you're wanting to make a big transition from where you are to somewhere else, you're wanting to move from the magma into the crust, you can use moonstone. There's anywhere where you want to have a regeneration, where you're starting a new cycle marked by growth, insight, and balance. If you want to reset your sleep cycles, if you want to activate lucid dreaming, you would turn to moonstone. I would also think that as the lessons of magical practice begin to arise from our subconscious mind into our conscious mind, that moonstone might be really helpful for our conscious penetration of that veil, that density, being able to have the intuition to see into what we're experiencing it, and then understand it, interpret it, and balance it all simultaneously. They say that you can do that, so we should give it a try and see if it actually works. Moonstone can also affect our etheric bodies. So it works on all the levels of our being, and including the etheric. So that can be what is stimulating this innate telepathy or innate clairvoyance that we actually have. So if you think of it this way, this will be my final statement. So if you think about it this way, as we go deeper into the self and the hidden layers of the unconscious and subconscious mind, there's a push that is coming from somewhere to get things out to the surface and to create this balance and this regeneration. Something is pushing that. And it's the Moonstone that comes in on all levels, from the densest reality to the most refined of spiritual worlds. And it transforms the rock and magma of our being into an emotionally regulated person with character and depth, and turns the ragged edges of our beings into beacons of beauty and light. And I have a little bibliography of stuff that I got.